Managing people doesn't have to be scary. Whether you struggle with hiring or firing employees, developing individuals or teams, or even managing workplace relationships, I have some answers that can help you establish your approach. I'm Phil Badley, a leadership coach who helps business owners to lead better and more productive lives. I've developed some great content aimed at small businesses that want to focus on improving their performance. Now, the context is set in the therapy sector, although the principles I'm sharing are the same regardless of the business that you're running. I hope they can help you with the challenge that you're facing. So why not take a look and see how my tips can help you to improve your approach to managing people. Here today with Darren Hutchinson, the visual media guy. Darren's got a wealth of knowledge and experience and is really great at sharing that knowledge and information. Now, we know from our therapy business owners that quite a lot of you are actually thinking about how to use video, but how to use video on a budget. So we thought I'd talk to Darren and find out a little bit more, because I know, Darren, you're passionate about sharing your information. So welcome.
Yeah,
just tell us.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about visual media guy and your core business, because I know you've been doing quite a lot in the last 12 months or so.
Yeah, so I've been a filmmaker for about 21 years now, and the majority of that means that I pick a camera up and go out to visit people. But more and more I'm being asked the same question by clients, which is, how can we create our own little social media films and films that can get out there? Just little ones that we can put out ourselves. We don't have to keep hiring people. And crucially, the question that they ask me is, how do we get people to engage? How do we get people to watch them, to actually connect, to attract new clients and new customers, etc.? So I built the Visual Media Guy platform as a place for them to go, essentially.
Fantastic. So I went out to the audience and asked what kind of question would you like to ask our visual media guy, and we got loads of questions, as you know. So we're just going to pick 4 or 5 of them just to get us started and see where that takes us. So the first one really is, why would we bother with video marketing?
Well, video marketing, the stat that I always use is 82%, right? And this year, 82% of all online traffic will be video. 82%, right? And if you're not represented with video, then that 82% of all traffic is null and void to you. It's gone. It doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
The second thing is, video is the #1 best way to grab somebody's attention. It's the best medium for advertising, for promotions, for anything, because people will more likely watch and be entertained and engrossed in a video than just some text on a screen or even a JPEG. I mean, images work very well, but still not as good as video.
Okay. So there's every reason then to get started on thinking about video, and people probably think of massive film sets and all the expense of it. What do you actually need to get started?
You need a smartphone, and that's it. What we teach on the Visual Media Guy platform is that you can do the majority of things that you need to do just using your smartphone. Right? There's absolutely no reason to go out and buy an expensive camera or even a cheaper camera. If you've got a smartphone and you can record video on it, then you're set up for success.
Okay.
All you need to do is know how to use it to get the best out of it, and that's another thing that we talk about a lot through the course is taking what people already have and making it work for them.
So would you say there's a difference between recording inside and outside if you're getting started?
Not with the difference between using a smartphone or not, but the only difference is, and you'll notice here, we're shooting this on a broadcast video camera, just because that's what I use on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But what you'll notice here is we're on these mics, and you can hear that.
Yeah.
And these are little windshields. The only real difference between filming inside and outside is audio. Because you can use the sun just in the same way as you can use indoor lighting. You can use it to your benefit, or it can get in the way. It just depends, on how you work with it. But audio outdoors, you will always have a little bit of a wind factor. And when wind blows across the microphone, you get that horrible sort of noise. So as long as you have a way of just cancelling or subduing the wind a little bit, you can use your same kit outdoors and indoors. It's just the same.
Okay, because I know we did get a question, which is a kind of a prompt question from what you've said there about in some cases clinicians will actually be practicing drills or exercise techniques, and some of that is obviously outdoors at athletes and things like that. And
Yes.
If you happen to live close to Manchester Airport or somewhere where there's a lot of noise, I think the question was, do you kind of record the soundtrack? Do you re-record the soundtrack after you've done the external piece, just to, if you need to kind of sharpen up the audio?
Well, the answer to that is, what can you see in your shot? Right? If you're at Manchester Airport and you're having problems with plane noise, and you can frame your shot so that you can see planes landing or planes in the sky or bits of runway or whatever, then the audio matches the video.
Yeah.
Right? If you're at Manchester Airport and the camera's turned around and there's a field behind you, and the planes are going sort of behind the camera, and visually it looks like a beautiful, really peaceful green field, and all you can hear is then your audio doesn't match your video.
Got you.
So the question is, if you can represent the source of the audio on camera, then your viewer won't find it unnatural. But if there's a split there between what you can see and what you can hear, then it jars with a viewing experience. Recording audio afterwards is a very tricky thing to do. So it's a professional thing, and I wouldn't attempt. I wouldn't, unless, if you're recording interviews, it's a tricky thing to do. But of course, if you're just outdoors, just getting the footage, just getting video only, and then recording a little voiceover soundtrack to accompany it, then obviously you do that indoors.
That would make sense.
But those two things are separate, and then you patch them together at the end.
Yeah. Okay. I know it's potentially a very broad question, particularly given your knowledge and experience. But what are the top tips to get started on this?
The getting started is all about trial and error on your part.
Okay.
It's all about having the confidence to pick your phone up, to mess about with it a bit, to record something, and to put it out there. Right? That is all it takes to get started. There is no way, just like anything any of us do in life, there's no way we're going to nail it first time, right? But by recording yourself, I always suggest that people do something like a Q&A first, something that's dead easy for them to do, right? A Q&A film is essentially, if you're running a business and your customers always ask you the same questions, and let's just go with opening hours, right?
Yeah.
If they ask you about opening hours all the time, then you record yourself, you point your phone up to yourself and you say, all right, we get asked a lot when we're open. Well, here we go. We're open, doors open at 9 a.m. on a Monday and they close at 5 o'clock on, Monday through to Friday, a little bit different at the weekend. But just wanted to get that out there so you all know. It's a dead simple piece to do, but it's you practicing presenting. If presenting isn't too much of a scary word, just talking to your camera, recording it, putting it online, and getting it out there and see what happens, and watch it back and do that little cringy stuff where you're like, oh, I don't really like myself, but you can spot the things that you do that annoy you, because we all have those little foibles kind of things that we have that are like, oh, I don't like that, and then just try and get past them. And identify them and realise next time, all right, well, I'll try and perfect this and try and perfect that.
You're making me smile because obviously we've been doing quite a lot of recording as amateurs, and Andy and I have recorded a 2-minute introduction to the whole of our platform.
Okay.
But it took us 2 hours.
Yes. It still takes me that time sometimes.
And it just shows you how much effort goes in actually to trying to get something right. So talking about 2 hours, there's quite a few questions around optimum length. Now clearly if you're putting something on your own website, criteria would be a little bit different, I'm guessing. But in relation to social media, is there a kind of a rule of thumb on how long or short a video needs to be these days?
There are 2 rules of thumb. Now bear in mind, that one platform to the next, they change all the time. So me giving you this advice now may be different in a month's time. Okay, but generally speaking, I don't think the answer that I'll give you now will change for a good few years. Okay, you've got your really short videos that work to grab somebody as they're scrolling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got a scroller, and then you've got 3 seconds to go, hey, look at me, look at this thing, right? And if somebody then goes, ooh, then you've probably got another 15-20 seconds to get across what it is you're trying to say before the chances that they'll get bored and scroll on and carry on. So if you're looking at about a 20-second mark to try and just get a point across, or get a message, or just convince somebody that you're worth looking into, right? This is not a place to go, oh, you know, we statistically we did this number of sales, that, you know, nobody cares about that stuff. This is just like, hello, look at us, we're brilliant, right? If you can do that in 20 seconds and the first 3 seconds has to stand out, I can't stress enough that you cannot start on a logo, an animated logo of your company anymore, because nobody cares. No one cares about your company. All they care about is what you can do for them. And if you can get a bit of that across in the first 3 seconds, you'll get somebody going, all right. You don't want to be introducing yourself. You don't want to say, hi, I'm Darren from the Visual Media Guy. I've been doing, like, bored. No, yeah. They're interested in me. Yeah. But if I'm saying, are you struggling with your video marketing? Just watch this if you're, then some people will go, I am struggling with my video marketing. Mm. And hopefully then they will listen to a little bit more of what I have to say.
So 3 seconds and 15 gives us 18 to 20 seconds. Yep. Is there a maximum length on?
Well, I would say that there are 2 types, and I would say that you split it down into 2, right? Your short, punchy jazz hands videos, and then your longer, detailed explanation films for people that are a little bit more invested in knowing a little bit more. If you're teaching a niche audience about a specific thing that you know they're interested in, then 3 minutes and above is essential. And the reason why 3 minutes is a point is because Facebook now is promoting videos that are 3 minutes and longer. Okay. They will say that through the algorithms, they'll boost them higher. And the reason why is because the whole of the social media industry noticed this trend for what were, 3 or 4 years ago, I would be advising people to make 2-minute long videos. Yeah. And then a year later, it'd be maybe a minute. And then now it's 30 seconds. And then you're starting to get to the point where how much further can I go? And all of the social media platforms have recognized that this isn't sustainable. Because you can't just have people in 5 seconds going, yeah, look at me thing, yeah. So you have to then retrain the public to accept longer videos, because also social media sites want them to stay on their sites. Their entire business model is based on people using their sites. So if you've got a 10-second video compared to a 3-minute video, 3 minutes they're on Facebook, whatever. Yeah, well, you can't put, it's 220 on Twitter, but anyway. This is why I'm saying they're all slightly different, but anyway, yeah. The longer the video, the more that you're on their site. And so they are now saying, right, we recognise that longer videos need to get the push that they deserve.
But as you say, if you haven't done the first 3 seconds and the first 15 seconds, yep, then everything beyond that doesn't really matter because somebody will have scrolled on?
Yes, possibly. But if your goal is to attract a complete cold prospect, then you're looking at the short videos all the time. Okay. If you know that what you're putting out there is to an audience that is already a little bit, they're kind of attached to you, they know who you are a little bit, and you're giving them good advice and useful tips, then you can go straight in with the 3 minutes, and you don't need to worry about, as long as you still need to attract to them in the first 3 seconds and the first 10 seconds or so, of course you do, but you don't need to worry about that instant grab, because you're talking to an audience that's already partly been converted towards you.
That makes a lot of sense, and actually links into a question which I appreciate isn't strictly about video content, but you can put a lot of time and effort into getting what you think is a really good video, post it, and then nobody engages with it. Yeah. So in the same way that we might be thinking about a website with blogs and SEO and things like that, are there any kind of introductory tricks to get your stuff noticed?
So first off, it's the number one, like most disheartening thing to throw all your time and effort into something that you've crafted and that you've loved, and you put it out there, and you watch as your mum or your dad likes it, you know, or one of your friends likes it, or something, and you're like, anyone else? Anybody else? And it just dies flat. And 3 or 4 days down the line, there's nothing else, and you know that there's going to be no more traction on that at all.
Yeah.
Right. It's horrible. It's frustrating, and it will continue to happen to everybody of every level and every ability, because some things will attract, some things won't, and the rules are complete. Well, it's not necessarily the rules, but it's the fact that you might have hit the right people at exactly the right time when they're looking, or you might have posted it just at the wrong time when nobody's seen it and it's got something else has taken over, and then because nobody looked at it, the algorithms haven't boosted it further and it's just fallen flat immediately. Or you might have just been lucky and hit it at the right time. The point that I'm making is that there are ways to help you optimize what you've put out there. So you shouldn't just make it and then go, bam, there it is. Once you've stuck it there, there are a number of things you need to do. Some of those things are making sure that the title of your video is right, that the description around it are words and phrases that your audience is searching for. The tags that you use are also keywords and phrases that your audience will recognize and will be typing into search engines and social media. It's also about what time, as we said, what time do you actually post it? Now, there are good and bad things about posting at different times, because you may say that on Facebook, like between 1 and 2 p.m. is the best time to post because it's lunchtime and everybody sits down and scrolls through the social media. However, the big companies know that too.
Yeah.
So you're also going to be fighting for a larger share of the traffic. So it is a little bit about trial and error. But the best advice that I can give anybody is don't be disheartened. It's going to happen to us all.
Yeah.
Right? I still put, I mean, you know, I haven't got 20 million followers or whatever, but I'm still putting out content that sometimes hits nobody, right? And very, very few people. And what I'll do is I'll just study why. And I'll look at it and I'll go, maybe my content wasn't interesting enough. Maybe I didn't grab people at the start. Maybe I've put it out at the wrong time. Maybe I put it on the wrong platform. Maybe, you know, and I learn from it. So really it's about learning how to optimize and how to publish and how to give it the best chance of survival. And if it doesn't work, then try something different with the same video the next week. Just put it out again next week, different day, different time, different titles, and see what that does. Yeah, and eventually you'll get to grips with what works for you.
Certainly share your view about data, learning and improvement, and not getting disheartened, and trying and reframing and trying again. So just moving towards the end of this clip, Darren, just thinking about organisations who might want to get some professional help and support. So thinking from the novice filmmaker point of view, in other words, as a therapy business owner, what are the kind of the smart questions or things I'd need to think about before I came to somebody like you to ask you to do a piece of work for me?
So if you were thinking of hiring an external company to actually come out and shoot something for you, the way that it should work and the way that we work is, like, first off, find somebody that you trust and you feel like you can connect with. Yeah. There are a lot of production companies out there, and cheap is not always the best, right? There are a lot of companies that have a good back catalogue, that have done a good amount of work and that charge a reasonable price, and I'd always give them a go, right? And I'd always just have a chat with them and have an honest discussion with them as to about what you want and what you want to do. Now, the way that we would work is that I would ask you to provide me a list of bullet points, and that's it, just so that we can understand the things that are important to you, the phrases that you use, the way that you conduct yourself, the people that you're trying to attract. And from those bullet points, I would then work out a script. And not necessarily that we're making a voiceover script piece, but I'd work out a script so that at least we understand the structure of how that film is going to look. So I would say that if you're looking to outsource, just do a little bit of homework, ask around, ask people what company they would recommend, and then be honest and work with them. I'm not, this may be a controversial thing to say, but I am not a fan of three-way pitches, of people asking three companies to give them three different things, right? And I'll tell you why, right? Because, and I know it's rife and throughout the public sector, and I understand why it has to be done because you have to justify your spend.
Yeah.
But what you don't get is you don't get the best of any world then, because you'll get three different companies that only put half of their effort in because they don't know if they've won the pitch. They're not going to actually sit down and concentrate on you properly until they know that you're working together, right? The second thing is you also have no idea where you've taken those three from, right? You could have picked three people that are right at the bottom of the price ladder, right? And they're all within 20 quid of each other.
Yeah.
Or you might have picked two from there and one from there. Or you might have picked three from there. And you might think three from there and the one that's that price is obviously better because they're 100 quid cheaper.
Yeah.
You have no idea where you're hitting in the market, which is why I'm saying find someone that you connect with, explain to them, talk about what you've got, and be open and honest with them. And you'll work better by building a relationship that way.
And that sounds like great advice. I know you've got an ebook.
Yes, I've got a couple.
That we've been promoting.
Yes.
And in the footer of this video, there'll be some links to that. And I know you've also got this new, or relatively new, online platform.
Yes.
Which is kind of sharing, well, pretty much your entire knowledge, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a course. Just tell us a little bit about that program.
So the platform, the visualmediaguide.com platform, is a place where anybody can go to find out more and get some free resources, or there are resources that you can subscribe to or you can buy, etc. But it's a growing platform where we're constantly adding more and more tips and tricks and resources, as I say, to help business owners and marketers create their own marketing videos. Right, that is it. That is where we sit. That's our area. We help you create your own marketing videos. I mean, as a production company, if you need us to, we will come out and film things for you. But the Visual Media Guy site is basically about empowering people to stop struggling, to stop that awful thing where they're like, I don't know what I'm doing and it's not working and I can't figure it out. Right, just go to the site. It doesn't matter if you've got a budget or not. There are things there that will help you.
That's fantastic.
And there's the online course will take you through everything from identifying your ideal customer, all the way through the entire creation process, and all the way through the publishing and optimizing at the end, where you'll know exactly how to get it out there and get it seen.
That's fantastic. Darren, it's been good to talk to you.
It's been great. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Yes, you're very welcome. And what I would say is grab your smartphone, think about 3 seconds, think about 15 seconds, think about 3 minutes, but probably most of all think about who it is you're talking to get started, and give it your best shot.